I cannot escape my fate.
The Northman comes from visionary director Robert Eggers, but has lived up to high expectations. An action-filled epic that follows a young Viking prince on his quest to avenge his father's murder. I was excited for this film, but not nearly as excited as some people were. A lot of people love Robert Eggers, and I think he's a great director, and I really like The Lighthouse, and I really like The Witch, but I don't like them as much as other people do. Some people put those films on huge pedestals, and I think they're just really well-made films. But from the trailer, it looked pretty interesting, and it looked like the film was going to appeal to larger audiences, and that's exactly what The Northman does. I thought this was a really well-made film. I really enjoyed The Northman. I think this is one of the best films of the year so far. This is definitely Robert Eggers' most cinematic, most theatrical film he's made so far. What I mean by that is it definitely will appeal to larger audiences. This is definitely a film that is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to follow. Compared to films like The Witch or The Lighthouse, those take a little bit of time to understand and keep your attention. Here, it's pretty straightforward. We have a Viking prince. His father gets murdered in front of him, and he wants revenge. That is basically the film. There is a lot more to that. There are layers to this film. There are a lot of meanings and symbols and things like that. But on paper, that's what this film is, and that's why I think larger audiences can enjoy this film. The Northman is crafted beautifully. It looks amazing. I think my favorite part about this film is how some of the action sequences are helmed. They are helmed so great. There's a lot of long shots. Everything is in camera, in frame, and it looks great. And I will say, go into this film not thinking this is a action adventure like the description says in IMDb and like what IMDb says, but I'll say this. Someone that knows who Robert Eggers is, there's more action in it than I thought. I didn't think there'd be that much action, but there's actually more than I thought. But for a normal audience member who watches this trailer and reads what this film is about, there's not nearly as much action as they would think. So it's right in the middle, which I think is actually perfect. But like I said, love the action in this film. It's done really well. It's extremely violent, and I think it really works for the tone of this film. This film in general is pretty violent and pretty shocking. There are actual parts where my jaw dropped. I was not expecting that, and that goes with some of the images we see, but also some of the storytelling. There are things that happen that I really didn't expect. And I think in the year 2022 and how most films are made, that's hard to do, especially for like an epic action adventure like this. All the performances were great, but I thought the two best were Alexander Skarsgård and Anya Taylor-Joy. They were the two leads. I thought they did a great job. And I also loved, kind of what I was saying before, the symbolism, the meanings behind things in this film, how a lot of things come full circle, and all of that is really well done, and it's not in your face. It's things that require the audience members to think. It's not spelled out right in front of you. And I love when films do that. I love when films respect the audience's intelligence, and I think here it's really, really well done. I really don't have many issues with this film. I mean, I guess I had to pick something. I think sometimes it gets a little too weird. Sometimes the symbolism doesn't really work for me, and it can drag. I think Robert Eggers sometimes has pacing issues in some of his films just because of how he films it, his style. It's not bad by any means. It's just sometimes a little slow. Like this film was a little bit under 2 hours and 20 minutes, but this film definitely felt like over 2.5 hours. But other than that, like I've been saying, this was a really well-made film, really well crafted. It looks great. There's a lot of great things behind this film, some of the meanings and everything like that. And it's definitely an experience I'll be thinking about for a while. It's definitely epic in scale, and I would say go give it a try, because I'm curious to think what wide audience members will think of this film, not just like film nerds or artsy film people that know who Robert Eggers is. I'm curious to see what normal audience members think, because this is an epic tale, but there's a lot of layers to it. But like I said before, this is still one of my favorite films of the year so far. I'm going to give The Northman 8 Davey Daves. I also read somewhere that if you know more about Viking lore, you might appreciate and understand some of the things that they talk about in this film. And honestly, I don't know anything, so maybe I'll look some of that stuff up and I'll appreciate the film a lot more. But for someone who hasn't read anything, I still understood a lot of the references and what was going on in the film, but maybe reading up might make me appreciate the film a little bit more. So The Northman, let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear, and thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Davy's Takes.